a pushy broad from the Bronx, New York. Follow her voice, a straight dog is nice. She's a pushy broad from the Bronx, oh yeah. Don't be surprised if you wanna listen twice. Make decisions, find the right choice. Know yourself better, find your own voice. It's okay if you need help today, cause everybody needs a little push. From the pushy broad from the Bronx, New York.
Good morning and welcome, Transformation Talk Network listeners. My name is Ellen Stewart and I am the pushy broad from the Bronx. Welcome to my show, Recovery Recharged, where we share advice and support from experts in addiction and recovery. First, happy Thanksgiving. I hope you're grateful for something today, and I am going to give you something to be grateful for because I have a guest today that is going to talk about something that will interest many of you and will probably make a really good Christmas present this year. So listen up. Today's show is called the Fix Your Addiction Handbook, right? You believe that? I can't wait to hear all about this. And I have the author to tell us all about it. Faust Ruggiero is here, and we're going to explore overcoming addiction from his insights, the Fix Your Addiction Handbook. This week, we will offer advice from this author to help you listen up and navigate this very important topic. So, let me tell you about the author. He's a psychologist who's been in private practice for over 35 years. And before entering private practice, he spent some time working in clinics for the deaf, for deaf children, in prisons, in nursing homes, in substance abuse centers, inpatient facilities, and he's a consultant for major national and international corporations. He's a published research author and a professional clinical trainer. He started in the summer of 2016. He began to develop the Fix Yourself Empowerment series. So listen to this, guys. His series includes the Fix Yourself Handbook, the Fix Your Anxiety Handbook, the Fix Your Depression Handbook, the Fix Your Anger Handbook, and his new book, which he's here to talk about today, which has been out for about 2 weeks, the Fix Your Addiction Handbook. Available now, probably on Amazon, but we're going to ask him as soon as we start here. The pushy broad from the Bronx, Ellen Stewart, Recovery Recharge, welcomes Faust Ruggiero to our show. Good morning, Faust. How are you?
Good
Faust.
morning. Good
I'm
morning,
sorry,
Ellen.
Faust. What inspired you to write this book?
Ellen, I've been counseling people for a long time, and you get to a point in your career where you know what works and what doesn't work. So around 2019, kids out of the house, me with a little bit more time, I said, well, let's put this into a text. So I wrote the first book. We call it the flagship book, the Fix Yourself Handbook. And that was 36 different human problems, and 36 ways to deal with those. The book and the design went over so well. So, the pandemic hit, and here we are, anxiety, depression, now anger. And then, one of my favorite subjects, addiction, that I've been doing for, again, 35, 40 years.
Faust, this book in particular, I think maybe is a personal journey for you, a life journey. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm not recovering. I'm one of those people that could consume any addictive substance or get into any addictive activity, and I don't feel any urge whatsoever to continue. I came out of grad school, and one of the jobs that was posted was to work in an alcohol counseling center. And so I applied, and lo and behold, the person calls me back. Was very prominent in the area that I lived in addiction, and says, we want to get someone who is not addicted because we want a different perspective on this, but we're going to train you first. So we did that, and I learned about addiction. I learned about the 12-step program, and just took off with it. And it's interesting. It's a program for life. I really took to the people I was counseling and never looked back. And here we are, almost 40 years later, and I'm still doing this and still excited about doing it.
I can't believe you just said to me, you are not in recovery. Okay, you're not recovering from substances, okay? Because I do believe that everything that happens here and your book and 12 steps in general helps everybody in life, whether they are recovering from mood altering substances or not. So, Faust, for you, this is a life journey. You explain that. But how does that help when we come to individuals? And how does it help in the healing process of all of this to be a life journey?
It's a great question, Ellen. For me, I think it start with my perspective, my way of dealing with people. I love people. I love to be with them. And when you open up an addict's journey and you start to see the whole thing unfold, you never stop dealing with the addiction. You can't. However, there's so many more layers to that person which have over the years been suppressed and covered up and compromised, and to me the passion is still helping them to go back, first deal with the addiction, learn how to deal with that. And I'm very close to this 12-step programs, so I use that design, and so we never stray from that. But now we start opening up and we start getting to that real beautiful part of a person, which is there in every addict like anyone else, if they're willing to do the work.
I completely understand, and I'm with you 100%. And because I am a product of recovery, I've been clean and sober for 39 years, and I am also a proud member of 12-step philosophy, even though I do a lot of things in my recovery coaching. 12-step philosophy and addiction in general, and the ideas behind addiction, I was very taken and rather surprised by the name of your book, the Fix Your Addiction Handbook, because that's kind of counterintuitive to what I have learned. So I want you to explain that to me, because the words fix your addiction is something that I'm kind of stuck on. And I want you to explain to me how you arrived at that word.
That goes back to the first book, and I've always said that in my counseling with people. It's kind of a little pun we would say. We're going to fix you. We're gonna get into all those things that are plaguing you. When it comes to addiction, we all know it's a recovery process, not a destination. We know that. That's a given. What I'm looking for is to help people fix what they're doing wrong. That's what I'm looking for. And that permeates everything I write in the book. We're not going to fix your addiction. You're not going to read my book and say, "My God, I'm going to be done with this finally." We know that's absurd. Okay, your life is dynamic. It's going to go on. You still have the same brain you've always had. It's still going to see things and want them. And it's not just alcohol or drugs. We know that. It can be jelly donuts. It doesn't matter. We're not going to fix that. What we're going to do is fix the way you approach the addiction, and your denial of it and your rationalization of it, all the things you do to keep it going. That's what we're talking about.
Fantastic, Faust. I like you better. Okay, you just came up a little bit in my eyes. I'm thinking to myself, we can't fix this. But yes, the best thing about recovery is that we can change the way we think, we can change the way we feel, and change the way we act, right? What goes into our brains, the information that we get allows us to make new choices and new decisions. And those things directly affect our recovery, right? Because it's not just picking up a drink or a drug. It's everything behind that as well.
Yeah. And we
So,
teach all of it, how
yes,
let's not make all these mistakes. Let's not do all these crazy things we do, which look like we're trying to get better, but we're feeding the addiction. It's a journey. And I take them through that. And you're going to stumble. You're probably going to relapse. Very few people go through this and say, "Gee, I got it the first time. That was so easy." It doesn't work that way. But we want to make sure, and what I want to make sure is that they're not continuing to make the same mistakes over. Let's fix that part of it. Then we can get into the program. And I get this all the time. deal with something you said before. He's not recovering. People come in and say, "Well, you're not recovering. You probably don't know this." It's one of the defenses addicts always use with me, and I say, "Good, bring it on, and I'll show you where we're gonna go." And after about an hour, they say, "Geez, you got all of it." I said, "No, I just got you. That's what I got, and that's all you have to worry about."
Exactly. We can't sprinkle magic dust. There's no
That's
question.
right.
All my clients say to me, are you done yet? Am I finished? The parents say, did you fix him yet? Is he going to be okay? Well, he's alive and there's hope, or she's alive and there's hope. And that's about it. One step at a time. And about mistakes, I say the same thing to my clients all the time. We're going to make mistakes the rest of our life. The whole idea is to make new mistakes and not to make the same mistakes all over again.
And I
All
think
right.
that's a
So
great point because the old
let's
ones
make
just
new
keep us
mistakes.
stuck, but the new ones tell us that we're doing something. I always tell them, go out there and do this. You're not going to get it right the first time. You're not supposed to. Not because you're addicted. All of us are that way. We're going to try something. If we make a mistake, it should tell us that we're in the game. That's what we want.
Exactly right. All right. So, like me, we are like-minded in that one of the things that you emphasize in the book is to understand addiction from a dynamic sense, meaning it is all-encompassing, affecting mind, body, and spirit. Talk to us about how you see it and how these elements interconnect.
When people come into my office, this is the best way to say this. They'll say, "Okay, I'm stuck on this. I really want to get through this addiction. Help me to do this." And they're ready to go forward. And I say, "Wait, before we go forward, we're going to probably have to go back a little bit. I want to see what you're doing, okay, and see what we have to purge here first." And they say, "Excuse me, I don't want to do that. I understand it, but these are all the mistakes you're making. So we're going to start there. Let's look at your body first." I always go body first, and they want to go mind first. And I say, but your body is really what's addicted first. Whether you want to talk neurotransmitters, you want to talk all those chemicals that stimulate the brain and help keep you addicted. We want to get there first. So when you come in and tell me, for example, I'm stuck on amphetamines, but I got off of those, but I still have the urge. And I said, okay, let's look at your diet. And we have 4 cups of coffee in the morning, and we have an energy drink in the afternoon. I said, you can't do any of this. I can't have any coffee. I said, well, can you have one and stop there? What are you drinking for? It's the same thing. Can you have one drink? Alcohol. Can you stop? Can you have one drink of coffee? Can you stop? We need to purge. It's that on the intellectual part of things. Let's look at your mind and what you're telling yourself and how you're living it and what defenses you're using. We need to get those out of the picture. So we need to be focusing on that. Your emotions, or how defensive are you? Can I say to you, hey, you're doing this wrong? And you say, let me look at that. Or do you say, no, I'm not? Or you're the one that's the problem? We need to purge that stuff out of there. We can't even get to the spiritual part until we get to these things. That's the higher order part for me. And so let's purge. Now, once you agree and you understand these, let's put your recovery plan forward. Let's get your network in the picture. Do you have your physician? Do you have your counselor? Do you have whether it's a 12-step program or whatever else you're using? Who are you going to call when it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you want to indulge? Is that person in the picture? Are you going to work with them? We need a network. And so I really start there with people. Let's get the physical in the picture, and then let's build the network.
It's a combination of mind, body, and spirit. It
It is.
certainly is. Everybody out there, I'm with Faust Ruggiero. The name of his book is the Fix Your Addiction Handbook. Let us know where we can find the book currently, Faust.
Best place to find that would be my website. It is my name, faustruggiero.com. Everything about me, the books, the interviews, everything I do is there. If you're interested in how the books look, I have 3 excerpts from all of the books there. So you can actually look at it and say, okay, this is how he's writing it. Do I like it? And there's a contact link, and I do get back to people.
Okay, so it's Thanksgiving. We're thankful for a lot of things, and I know you're thankful for a lot of success that this book has brought. Give us an example of maybe a success story over time in the way you have taught this book, maybe somebody who's followed the principles of your book.
Absolutely. I can pick so many, but let's pick one of the first ones. This is a person who I counseled in that alcohol counseling center, and she comes in and she is clearly addicted to both alcohol and heroin, and so she's coming in for the heroin, of course. So we get through all that and we start working the program, and she gets a network. I got her hooked up with an NA program and an AA program. At the time when we're going back in the 80s, a lot of the AA people in the area weren't so keen on having cross-addicted people come to their AA groups. They felt that alcohol should be separate. So we put both of those in the picture. It's changed now, thank God, uh, but at the time that's the way it was, and we built that network for her. She eventually got into the program, got herself a sponsor, and it's interesting. She worked the program. She got through all of her defenses, and at the time she was only, I think, 22. So now we're looking at a person who is 60-ish, and it's interesting. I saw her in a store, and I did not recognize her, but she recognized me and came over and said, "I have to," gave me a big hug and told me she's still. Sober. But the interesting thing she did was one that caught me is what she apologized. I said, "What are you apologizing for?" She said, "You're the only, I didn't know how to contact you." Well, and she did, she just didn't do it. I said, "I have to make amends to you because there are 3 or 4 times I outright lied to you in counseling, you
Really?
know."
No
So
kidding. You
when
mean
when that happened, now you know the person is working the program. It's a success story.
accountability?
She was accountable after 4 decades. She saw me, and she could have easily said, "No, I never did this." And a lot of people would have gone the other way. She saw me, thought it was me, came, made sure it was, and then, you know, uh, gave the old hugs and the whole deal, but then went back to her program and said, "You're the only one I didn't do this with. And I need to do this," and walked away and said, "You know what?" I said, and as a joke, I said, "Well, the recovery's complete now." And she looked at me and she said, "Yeah, right." So I knew where we were.
It's a constant thing.
It
I
is.
completely understand. Because it's Thanksgiving, you do, I mean, and it's part of the whole theme of this book. I want you to reach out there and let us know how family members and friends can best support a loved one going through this journey. And do you recommend they read the book as well?
I recommend anyone read it because I wrote it for both. Every chapter, every addiction has a component, what I call collateral damage, and what the family should do. And then at the last 12 chapters is the blueprint, for any addiction. Do all these things. The first thing I tell people is, you think you're going to help the addict. You're not until you help yourself. So the first thing I tell people is, uh, do not keep this a secret. Do not try to cover it up. Don't protect them, and don't think in any way, shape, or form you are responsible for this addiction at all, because you're not.
I'm so
Make
glad you
sure.
said that. That's the most important thing that need to know in especially in Thanksgiving when they're around their table. So would you say that again, please, to the parents and family members out there?
Yeah, again, you're not responsible for this addiction. You can't fix it. You don't cover for them. You don't make excuses. If they decide to make a fool of themselves, my advice simply is to say that's what they do. I'm sorry, everyone. I can't control this. Don't keep this a secret. There's more damage done. There's actually more damage done in keeping the secret than the addiction itself does.
Exactly.
If you don't keep the secret, you can go after the addiction. But if you keep the secret, all you've done is pour gas on the fire, so to speak. So I just tell people, don't keep it a secret. Get help. Where do you go? In every chapter in my book on every addiction, I give telephone numbers, whether it's the national addiction agencies, whatever it may be. I put that all in there. Go to start with your physician if you need to. Look up addiction counselors. Find them. Just get out of your own head and your own home, and let someone else who has the experience guide you. Go to an Al-Anon program, an NA program, any of them. Go there and let people be your network. That's the best thing you can do. As far as Thanksgiving is concerned, you can decide whether or not you're going or whether you're going to go with this person. You make all those decisions. If you're there, if it's me, I'm gonna let my family know, look, so and so's like this. If it gets out of hand, I'll deal with it. But know it, because I am not defending them, and I am not covering this anymore.
Okay. All right. So there's a couple of things, but one more thing before I talk about how you suggest readers read your book. I want to talk to about Thanksgiving specifically because this is the holidays. All right, everybody's sitting down, they're having turkey, they're having all kinds of wonderful things from all over the place. People are seeing each other that haven't seen each other in a while, and the mood altering substances are flowing. So if you are in early recovery, right, or you are in recovery and this is a difficult time for you, what do you suggest they do on this day?
And I've had that with people I'm counseling and interviews I've done. What I'm telling people is, yeah, in anything about addiction, you make a decision between the long-term plan and the short-term thing. It's Thanksgiving. It's one day of the year. Yes, it's a holiday. Yes, you want to have family. You want it to be wonderful. If you think you can't handle it, you shouldn't be there. If you're going to go and you're in the program and you have a sponsor, by all means, check in with that sponsor. Make sure you make those decisions first. If you're the family member and this is going to happen, you're not defending your way through this so you can make Thanksgiving. That should not be your priority. Your priority is the addiction, is your life. You make your decision. What will I want here? Do I want to have this defended and covered up and have this one day that can be okay, and then it keeps on going? Or maybe I'm going to use Thanksgiving as a jumping off spot for I am not dealing with this anymore. Pick which is more important to you. It's a tough way to look at it. I got that. But in addiction, you need to be one of the tough get going people, because if you're going to continue to cover this and be afraid of it, it will run you over every day of your life.
And
Thanksgiving.
to add what Faust has to say, I would say a couple of things as a coach, as a recovery coach. Number one, if you are like me in a situation where holiday celebrations may be difficult because of the mood altering substances around, I always have a plan B. Okay, a plan B. Either I decide not to go, but if I want to go, I either go with a sober buddy, right? So we can go together, or I turn around to my loved one or to friends and say, I'm going to come for an hour or two, and then I'm going to go home. I'm not going to stay in a situation that's difficult for me. So in recovery, we always say, recover with a plan B. All right. And the second thing is, we want you to know in recovery, as much as that we love the holidays, we love all the holidays, whatever you're going to celebrate, but realize above all that a holiday is just another day. It's just the span of 24 hours. There's no added meaning to it unless you give it that meaning. And if you exaggerate that meaning, then sometimes we get into trouble. So, moving on, because I want to say this is very interesting, and it's the first time I heard it in a book. You want people to read your book slowly and repetitively and explain to us why.
Well, it's like anything in addiction. You want to cover all the bases the right way. If you come into my office and I'm saying we're going to work the plan, and I give you this, and you say, "Great, I got it. Let's go to the next one." I know you didn't get it because I didn't see you struggle. I didn't see you wrestle with some things. The book is written the same way. If you're going to do this, take your time. You want to get through all the steps, whether it's 12 steps or the things I'm saying in the book. Because when I write my chapters, at the end I make my chapters short, 7, 8 pages, and then I give you action steps. Do these things. Before you move to the next chapter, be able to look at those action steps and say, okay, I understand it. Share it with another person. I keep saying that. Don't just keep this to yourself. I just gave the book to someone. They got back to me in 2 days and said, this was great. I plowed through this. It was so good. I said, stop. You missed all of it. And they were just taken back. I said, go back and read one chapter a week. Okay. There are like 29 chapters in it. Recovery is a program for life. All of my books are journey books written for life. If you are going to read them fast, you will get very little out of it. You'll be challenged and you won't have what you need. Take your
Wonderful.
time.
Thank you
It's fun.
so much. This is the Fix Your Addiction Handbook. You can find it on the website, right? Let's spell your name for everybody because it's your website.com. Okay, go ahead.
My name is Faust Ruggiero, FaustRuggiero.com.
Terrific. And you'll see it's up on the feed on the TTN network. This is Ellen Stewart, the Pushy Broad from the Bronx, wishing you a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday, a safe, sober weekend. Stay in recovery and stay in gratitude. And we'll see you next time. This is Ellen Stewart, the Pushy Broad from the Bronx, saying thanks for listening. And remember, everybody needs a little push.
From the pushy broad from the